a little bumpy, but my Lake Erie standards is really not that warm. So
we were just trying to get our line set, and these fish just didn't want to cooperate with that. The weather changed, so we took that time to kind of get back on, try to relocate those schools of smelt.
all that smell right there, right on.
Nice fish on the diver.
Hey guys, Nolan here with Fish USA. We're down here on Lake Erie with Captain Ross Robertson of Big Water Fishing and Doug, Fish USA's Director of Merchandising. But we're on our neck of the woods in Lake Erie, the Eastern Basin, right by Erie, Pennsylvania. Ross, I know you don't get to fish out here a ton. How's it going to be different than the Western Basin? What can we expect to see from today?
It's been a while since I've actually launched in this exact ramp, but it's not a lot different than where I would fish in Ohio, you know, in the eastern end of Ohio. So probably we're going to do some Dipsy Divers, some Leadcore line, you know, maybe a downrigger or two, probably maybe some wire line, but definitely expecting the fish to be deep for sure.
Cool, well let's find out. We're gonna go see what we can do.
Once you get that set, grab one of those nets, throw the hoop over that Minn Kota talon.
You got one, Ross?
We got a little bit of chaos. We got a board line, which is a Leadcore, little Suffix 832, and then we've got an inside diver with an old harness on here, a little double willow silver streak. We were just trying to get our line set, and these fish just didn't want to cooperate with that. You ready? When in doubt, get the meat out. It's not the biggest one we're gonna catch, Doug, but it is the first one.
All right, gotta start somewhere.
We're gonna hold tight till we get one of these going so we don't have a situation. So when the fish knowing are this deep, it's kind of difficult because you have so much line out, so you got to have a couple different systems, not only for what the fish prefer, but just in order not to get tangles, because we're basically targeting around 60 plus feet. So in walleye terms, that's pretty deep. So we're kind of inside out. We've got a downrigger right below, which is pretty much literally right below. We can see that on the Hummingbird. Then we've got some Dipsy Divers on a 1.5, which is kind of like here, and then we've got a 3 setting, so we can kind of cover that what would be dead area. And then we're running Leadcore, some Suffix 832, which is really narrow diameter, gets really deep. And we're running that 9 colors on one side and 7 on the other to kind of try, you know, 2 different little windows. And that Leadcore really snakes through the water, so it'll cover different columns as we're going with the waves here.
So
but
we're kind of focusing on the bottom half of the water column, but we're still covering many different depths.
A lot of times a year that would be a huge mistake, but when you get into the water temps, 60, you know, plus degrees or whatever, we're at 75 surface temp. You're looking for that little bit of cool water temperature break, if not even a thermocline.
Yeah.
And that's why we're using the fish hawk to kind of look at that. But then the flip of that is we want to make sure that we can cover just everything. But
we're seeing a ton of bait on the bottom, probably smelt, right?
Because of the smelt. So I wouldn't cover the top half like I would the bottom half.
Gotcha.
Normally, spring, fall, probably that's not what I would want to be. Smelt based, generally they're going to be down where there's a temperature break, so that's why watching on the fish hawk is a really key deal.
Now it's obviously pretty bumpy today. By Lake Erie standards, it's not horrible, but if it were calmer, less wind, less current, would you think they'd be a little bit higher up too, or do you see much of a difference with that condition bait?
A little bit, but not as much as you would think. You know, basically when you get a camera out, you're going to get rain and rough water. That's just kind of how that works.
How it goes. If we didn't have the cameras, it'd be a beautiful day.
Doug, those really long arms help when you're trying to play basketball, which I'm not very good at, but landing them with those really long leaders. So one of the things we're doing, Nolan, is we got really long leaders on these crawler harnesses. I've just seen where the bites are much, much, much fewer if you don't have, let's say, 10, 12 foot.
Okay.
So one of the little tricks that I do, those little silver streak harness, so we can switch it out real fast.
Gotcha.
And that way I don't have to spend a ton of time wrapping up, or I can change my leader lengths.
You've noticed that doesn't affect how many bites you get.
You know, I don't know, maybe a little bit, but it's so convenient that just the efficiency is a much better deal. But all I do know is crawler harnesses are the deal so far.
So far, this. Yeah, we'll get your standard drop.
You know, I'm not too picky with my meat.
No?
No, hamburgers,
Okay.
steaks,
Good to know.
yeah, crawlers, not so much. So Doug, I think we got into a little better area here. We got more bait on the screen, which is usually a good thing. And we've got that 9 color out. That's like almost like salmon stuff going on. So the first 4 fish on 4 different rods, is that what you call no pattern or amazing?
After the aftermath of the blow.
Okay.
The pattern is there is no pattern.
There you go. But I'm a positive guy now, so I would say that we're just catching them on everything.
There we go. Perfect.
So Doug, take a step back for me and I'll get your board off. No, and one of the things we kind of been doing here, like Doug fishes on a big boat a lot and using a big board system.
Yeah.
And when you're running this much line, it's kind of chaos. Like it's controlled chaos at best. So what we're doing here is we're taking an inline board and we've actually got a little Dubro, it's a Downrigger release actually. Okay. And we've modified that just by drilling extra hole in so we can firmly place it on there. But when we do that, we can pop that free, like, or the fish will. You can set it just like you would anything else. Yeah. And then we've got a little pin in that rear clip to keep that board on, so it's almost like a bobber.
Okay.
And basically when that pops free with the fish, or I like to keep them really tight so if you have craziness going on, they don't, you know, drag all behind you.
For sure.
And then you just kind of hold it and you let the momentum of the boat pull that behind. And so you don't get the tangles, we can keep fishing.
Okay.
But I like to keep them pretty tight because you can imagine if you had 2 fish at once, we can keep one away. We basically can manually steer them that way.
And it seems like nowadays on Erie, you've got 2 fish on more often than you got 1.
Once you get it kind of figured out, it can be controlled chaos.
Yes.
Controlled chaos. So Doug, talk to me on these Leadcores. Obviously you can only carry so many reels. So like in a lot of cases, these guys like to run 5, 7, and 9 colors. Sure. But obviously as you don't have, you know, 6 colors, there's gonna be a little window you don't have. So you like to switch with shallow and diving baits to just give you a little more or a little less depth, right?
Absolutely. You pretty much start with the shallow bait and you can work your way up to like a junior Thunderstick, give you that little bit deeper diving action, and you can work your way all the way up to, you know, something like a tail dancer.
Right.
You can really get down there pretty deep. But the 5s and 7s are very versatile on the central and eastern basin of Lake Erie. So that is the go-to.
I have a lot of confidence in the Thundersticks, and when you look at a shallow junior Thunderstick, a deep junior Thunderstick, and then a full-size deep Thunderstick, like there's a lot of depth difference there.
Absolutely.
And those are really great baits for imitating the smelt, and they've got a lot of really good colors. I'm seeing some head shaking, so I might want to get that net. And speaking of Thundersticks, right? Little tequila. This is the only tequila I allow in my boat. Little tequila Thunderstick. And that was with the shallow on the 9 colors, so we got kind of in that window. And that right there is a chunker. He has been eating well.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Eating well. We're gonna make a little fish fry action. So Nolan, like we just talked about those boards and how we're working them. Doug just got one on a 9 color on our starboard side, and we've got one on the outside board on the port. And we're just gonna do efficiency. So what we're gonna do is, because it takes so long to let that line out, we're gonna let Doug actually reset that before we trigger and pop that outside one over there. Because if you just think, we've got almost a football field of line out here. So we're gonna try to get that one ready and hopefully get a bite on that by the time we even get this one rolling. So that's a big deal with leaving those releases a little tighter. A lot of guys are like, man, why are they so tight? You want to be able to control the chaos.
Gotcha.
Because if these start all popping it's gonna like basket weave back there, and you're gonna have 4 fish on, but you're gonna get none of them in, and you'll be undoing tangles.
Yeah,
so,
it's a disaster.
yep. It takes a long time to let all this stuff out. That's the disadvantage when you're fishing deep, but there's really no way around it. So Doug, I know you like the big board stuff. That's kind of what you've done a lot, but we're actually using a Downrigger release here. It's a Dubro. And we're gonna put that in, then we're gonna spin it around 4 or 5 times, something like that, with the board on it. And that's gonna lock that in place. And then we're gonna hook this back and just leave a little slack in there. But we've got to use some type of release with a pin in it, because this is gonna be like a big bobber. And that way this can pop free so we can clear out those lines just like you would with a big board. Yeah, I mean, I know what they do when there's no thermocline and it's busted. It's usually jacked for a while, but they're normally really, really, really deep, like basically on the bottom. Is that high diver?
Yeah, I think there's
High diver, high diver, high diver. Take it. The low diver too. Doug, do you see a lot of times where those, even though you may be at the same depth, that you just catch a lot more fish on the high diver versus a low, or in, opposite of that?
I mean, every day is different, but a lot of times I would say, oh, there you go, inside.
It got me a little trick. Even though I got long arms there, I just do a slight pull. And this one's a little chunker.
That thing is so fat.
I think he's been eating some protein shakes there. Holy moly.
Beautiful fish.
Wow.
This thing needs to go to Weight Watchers. So, I'll tell you what. I'd love to talk, but we've got a fish on our inside board. We've got one on the outside board on the other side. So this is where the efficiency and kind of controlled chaos gets in.
That is a bad problem to have.
No, that's why everything's got to kind of have a place. I'm gonna switch me there. I'll tell you what, I'll trade you once you wind this one in. And so we're gonna work here. We're gonna set one while we net one. How about that? Get that high diver back out. I don't know that we have a pattern, but we've caught enough fish in a short amount of time. I think some of it's location, but purple's a thing. Nothing goes fast when you're fishing this deep. It's just a whole lot of time. And there's a disadvantage, in the boats you like to fish out of in the past, they're so much wider. You can work and have more, you can let 2 lines out much easier than you can in this one.
So where you're fishing, more springtime, early summer, Ross, on the western basin there, it's like a whole different world than what we're doing right now, right? Same thing, just kind of shallower?
Well, yes and no. I mean, we don't have a temperature break, and all these smelt are coming down here because they don't want that warm water.
Right.
So down my way, it's just so much easier. When you're 30 feet and less, I mean, even if the fish are on the bottom, there's so many tactics that can get you there really easily, even on a short line, as I like to say, without having to get too crazy. And sometimes just a clean crankbait or just letting out a thunderstick with nothing, or a tail dancer, something like that, 100%. When you start having to let out, 300 feet of line, it's a whole different game. I mean, as far as just time, tangles, just a lot of stuff going on. But it's what you got to do to fish deep, so it is what it is. This one, Doug, is a brand new color that it probably won't be out by the time people even watch this in the Thunderstick, and it has been absolutely on fire. It's like mixed veggies meets perch, beautiful. But it's walleye candy.
I'll take it.
I'll tell you what. if you're feeling daring, I guess we could let it out over here, and I think there's either one on there or we got to check it. So
obviously we were talking about, you know, they're eating mostly smelt down there. That's the primary forage here in our part of Erie right now. Do you think having a bait that represents that well, or just having a bait down there that they can see really well is more important?
they really seem to like the smaller profile or skinnier baits. You know, maybe that's smelt induced, but if you start putting big shad baits and things on there, I'm not gonna say you don't catch fish, but when you run enough lures through like we are, a big spread, you definitely start to see a tendency.
Right.
The other
more of a profile thing than it is a color thing, maybe?
I don't know if I'd say that. I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
You know, because the purples and the pinks many days are the deal, but like that one we just caught, kind of like a mixed veggies meets perch, I like to say. I don't even know that there's a name for it yet, but
That's pretty cool.
the other thing I would kind of caution or advise people is if you are fishing down like where I am, or you're coming from Nebraska or something to fish down in this deeper water, is it's so much cleaner. It's almost like a deep blue. And the big difference there is, from my neck of the woods this time of year, we get that kind of off-colored, not dirty water, but it's off-colored. And so it's a whole different ball of wax. Three things at once here, but it's a whole different deal with like spooking fish.
Gotcha.
So I would say that, you know, if you're using Dipsy Divers and you normally use 6-foot leads, run 10s or 12s, or maybe even more.
Yeah.
You know, on your downrigger, if you're running a 10-foot lead, run 20 or 30. You know, all these things. This Leadcore is a super stealthy deal. Those things seem to make a huge difference in the number of bites that you get. All right, I'll take that one. You can go reel that one or do whatever you gotta do. Yeah, I hit the rod butt like. Oh yeah.
You let me do a bass sunset on that rod?
I would not.
No.
If you notice, Doug did a little, I don't know, old guys taught me the same thing I've been doing. You don't have to rip the rod. You just, it's just it's more of a motion. Another really big tip that I would give guys is they always want to like put the thing out in the clicker and let it scream back on an angle. I like to like stop it, let it catch up. A lot of times you get a bite when that is kind of engaging.
Gotcha.
But the other thing is it just allows you to actually get out there to set quicker. So I could grab another line right now if Doug didn't have one and start letting one out the back, and then I'll just keep creeping that out. It's a little tip that gives you, I hit that, it gives you a lot more efficiency.
Okay.
Like, and just like now, like Doug's out there, he's clear. You know, we're gonna start making what was our inside or outside just a little bit. We just keep kind of creeping the things out so that it's just a little bit of work, and then all of a sudden you don't have a lot of work. You know, and one thing, I mean, especially when you catch a few smaller fish like we did, they're just checking your lines. You drag one of these around, you can't catch the right deal, and on top of that, you may twist your stuff all up. Whoa. So that 9 color, I could eat a sandwich by the time you get that in. That's why I like you reeling. I can, yeah, it's, look at that. Crazy.
Oh, that smell right there. Right off.
Long arms for everybody. Nice fish on the diver. And that was on the inside. Woo. Chunky monkey. As soon as we set up, I'm gonna need the pliers on this one. That is a Lake Erie gold right there. So we kind of got out of the fish a little bit and the weather changed. So we took that time to kind of get back on, try to relocate those schools of smelt, and then change some lures out. A little more chrome because it kind of cleared up and it looks a whole lot nicer and the bite seems to be improving. We had a fish as soon as we set up on an inside diver on a chrome stick bait. So we've got a double on the Leadcore. Doug's inside went, my outside went, and I tripped that because we actually had the fish on with the diver. And so we're not gonna trip Doug's because we wanna keep that out a little ways. Because you gotta always keep in mind and communicate with your buddy in the boat and say how much line you have out. Because we're both like 300 feet of line, if not a little more, and we wanna try to keep these spaced as far as we can because those fish will wander down there between the fish and the current, right, Doug? Doug, I don't know what I got here, but it feels like there's some cheeseburgers at the end of this. Like a double cheeseburger. Outside, I hit it with my arm. This one feels heavy. I don't have to ask you if there's a fish on it. Whoa! We don't talk like that out. We don't. I
know you like sheephead.
Doug, I honestly don't even know what they are. I don't even know what they are. Well, you'll have to show me what they look like. I don't. The Big Water Ranger doesn't catch those. I don't know what you're talking about. It's loaded up, man. Either I got one hooked sideways or it's just like, I know it's probably not an option, but like those inner lines are just so much easier to read and not tangle. Like when the guys bring a boarder to the top, the line can't get tangled in the guides. And I love them. They cost really cheap. Legit, do you have sheep? Doug, this one's got some shoulders on it. I tell you what, it's working out. Smelt between its lips. We don't have too much time to play around. That's why multiple nets is always a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, real good one.
Yeah. Don't reach, don't put it in yet. I'll bring her right to you.
Sweet, there's a good one.
I don't want to tease you, Douglas. By the time your mom watches this video, there may be availability on these, but that's a brand new little storm color for technically 2024.
The big ones seem to like it, huh?
They all like it.
Chunk.
Nice.
Good one.
Generally speaking, I've been told that a walleye can get to 10 pounds as little as 10 years on Lake Erie.
Okay.
Well, not average. Where on like Lake of the Woods, it's 18 or more, which is nearly their life expectancy. That's why that 10-pounder mark means literally they're the grandpas or the great grandpas. But out here, you know, probably 12, 13 years.
Okay.
But could be as young as 10.
10 years from now, we might have a lot of big fish.
I don't even think we're that far.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably 5.
Yeah. It's gonna help people bait. They're gonna grow quick.
We're a couple years from like, oh yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy now because it's
Give the electric knives a workout.
anywhere you go. I mean, you can't have a day. A bad day here is still a good day everywhere else,
Right.
and it's just the next few years with the hatches and the base that we have, it's just getting better and better. That's a nice one. So, you know, everybody wants these fancy painted baits, and I got a bunch of them. But this bait right here is a Thunderstick from literally 1994. An old rainbow trout. And Doug, I don't know about you, I hate to think of how many fish that a rainbow trout Thunderstick has caught out here. That is a confidence color for sure. And he gobbled her up. This fish fry is gonna happen, boys. So, you know, Doug, one of the advantages of having a live well in the boat, even though we got a cooler in the front deck, because when it's really hot, like the live well is just, it's only so good, but a little extra meal. What is that? Little
Looks like a Thunderstick.
Thunderstick, you know, matching the hatch there a little bit. These fish, even though they're big fish, they're putting the feed on, the minnow size, the smelt, it's not really huge. And that's why that deep junior Thunderstick, occasionally the bigger one just to get, you know, away from the little fish. or to get a little more extra depth, but sometimes smaller is better to get bigger. So we just switched this out to a little scatter minnow, wasn't it? A new color. Again, that purple and chrome is so good out here. It just looks like them smelt. But the big thing is, you know, with these riggers is to really, really reel down, because people don't realize how much slack you have in there once it pops out. So, and Doug was on. He's reeling and strike detecting. Oh! I dug them. Douglas, the scatter minnow again. Oh, whoa, 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 wait, here. Oh. Here, take it. Douglas, control your freaking fish here. Just keep coming. Okay, we need to check the other lines. Make sure we didn't. Little quick recap. Doug is telling me that there was a diver fish, or excuse me, a rigger fish, and as I'm hooking the board up, this thing literally cut my finger burning the line on another stick bait. Now purple and chrome, that's kind of the key denominator right now. A couple different baits, the chrome and purple, and that scatter minnow has earned another one out on the lake. Out in the net. We have a fish fry coming.
A full money bag is a beautiful thing.
This is going to require 2 hands.
I didn't know I was supposed to start lifting before I went walleye fishing.
No push-ups tonight for you. The money bag is full.
Good day of fishing.
Nolan, we came out and we said this morning we were going to try to feed them Dipsies, Downriggers, and Leadcore, and they actually did it. Normally that doesn't work like that.
Full dose today.
But when you're fishing deep, you only have so many choices, right?
Absolutely.
Scatter minnows, deep junior Thundersticks, even full-size Thundersticks. A few in a harness early, then that kind of slowed down. This is pretty typical for down here.
Yeah, no, I think the fishing was pretty decent today considering the conditions we were in. It wasn't a little sporty out there, got sporty at the end, but overall, I think we picked away at it pretty good.
When you have a blow kind of the day before and you come out and you don't have like a thermocline, that normally is kind of a, fish could be anywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's just a matter of putting baits at different depths and seeing what they want.
I love when it works out.
Great job.